Alright, what's up guys? JR here. It is Tuesday, May 9th, 2017, and I wanted to demonstrate kind of a failed break lower today. So overall it's a range day. We had a trend working up, break, move to a new high, trend working down, break, and then we have two legs down to a new low. We just broke beneath these overnight lows, and I like taking this for a failed breakout because we're far away from the EMA. We have about two measured legs down. So this is going to be your first leg right here. Let me get this out of the way. And then this is going to be your second leg. So that's about two measured legs down. And then I like the way we kind of had a double bottom right here. It's kind of that one tick failed break lower. Then we turned up and broke out of the high, broke out of the top of this bar, all in the same bar. So I like that. I think that's a trap, and since this is a failed break lower, it's a range day. We had a break of our trend line, two legs down. We're pretty far away from the EMA. I like risking this, trying to see if I can ride it back up to the EMA since we have more than enough room to get our scalp portion before we get back there. So just wanted to see if I could demonstrate that. I went ahead and shorted this one right here. This is a failed second entry long, so this is your new high. You get your first entry right there, pull back, second entry right here. So I went ahead and shorted. Once we broke beneath that bar, I dropped a limit order in there, rode it down to the lows, and now I'm going to see if I can ride it back up to the EMA. So hopefully it turns out nicely. Usually I like to see these things take off a bit faster than that. Looks like we're having a bit of resistance at this previous low, but hopefully we can push through that and it doesn't hold, and then we'll get a nice little pullback back to the EMA. So that'll be a pretty nice trade. But in the meantime, we're just going to go to pause, and I'll be back when we get some form of a change. Alright, so it took a little bit, but it looks like we're finally moving on up now. But let me just go ahead and explain the overall context behind this trade once again, because this is a bit more of it's a more aggressive setup basically. So you really want to understand the context before you start trying to pick tops and bottoms, because it's not a good idea unless you really kind of know what's going on. But pretty much it's a range day. So typically when you break out of one side of the range, usually it's going to fail. So you want to look for an opportunity to fade it. Now, so we had a short-term downtrend working down. We had a break right here, and then we had two legs down to a new low. Let me show you those legs one more time just so you can see that it's about two measured legs down. So you get your first leg right here, and then this is your second leg, and that's pretty much, it's a tick or two off, but usually close enough is good enough. And usually if it doesn't go exactly where it's supposed to go anyways, it's going to turn around and reverse and go farther in the opposite direction. So we broke beneath the overnight lows right here, and we turned up with a pretty bullish looking bar. So initially I like trying to go long above that bar. It didn't trigger. Then when we had this bearish doji, I said, okay, if we break out of the bottom and then turn around and reverse, then I'm going to go ahead and go long above that, because that's kind of a double test, double bottom, and it serves as a form of a trap at the same time. So we broke out of the bottom of this bar, we turned up and began reversing. I put my stop right there, and then we broke out, and I was triggered into the trade. So that's pretty much why I like this trade. Two legs down to a new low after having a short-term downtrend. You had a failed break beneath your overnight lows on a range day. We had a double test, and usually whenever I see these kinds of things, when basically you have overlapping bars, it'll go one tick beneath it and then turn around and reverse. This is pretty much my favorite way of entering when I'm far away from the EMA. So I kind of treat this like a higher low or a lower high if it's in reverse on the upside. So usually I like to take these as opposed to taking these, because in my opinion I feel like it's a bit safer. It traps people a bit more, so that way you have a bit more momentum going in your direction. So I like to look for these double bottoms, just those one tick failures, and then turn up and go in the opposite direction, and that's exactly what I got right here. Overall the signal bar isn't that beautiful, but the main reason why I like it is because we go out one side and then turn around and reverse and go out of the other side all in the same bar. So we just got that first contract off. That came off at 1 point, so that was 94.25. Gonna wait to see if we can trade through. Alright, so we just traded through that level, so that was a pretty nice trade. That was two back to back. That's cool because I actually overslept this morning and didn't start trading until what time? I woke up at probably a little less than an hour ago, so maybe like 12 and some change, close to 1 o'clock, and I got this short right here and then this long right there. It doesn't look like I missed too much overall today. There was movement, but Glancing back at these setups, I don't particularly like too many of them. There was a long right there. Yeah, I'm not gonna get into that, but let's just see if we get this second 2-point runner for this thing, and let me go ahead and mark my 2 trades for the day. So I took this short right here. This is actually my signal bar. And another reason why these trades are good is because, like Max says, sometimes you can catch the low of the day and then end up riding these things all the way back to the high, or you can catch the high of the day and end up riding it all the way back to the low. So it's a bit of an aggressive trade, but if you understand the reasons why you want to take it in certain scenarios, then it's worth the risk, in my opinion. So this is just a failed break lower, 2 legs down to a new low, decent ways away from the EMA, double bottom, kind of a failed break, and then you go out one side and turn around and go out the next. So I like that one. And we got our first contract. We're going to see if we can get the second one. We may not. We may turn down off this EMA, but we're just going to go to pause right now, and we'll see what happens. All right, so we're 1 tick away from getting that runner, but we've been having a bit of difficulty making it through the EMA. So just another thing that you want to pay attention to is usually you want to make sure that you have enough room to exit before you hit this EMA, because that'll act as support and resistance sometimes. And one more thing I want to point out, just to be sure that the context is clear on this trade, is that if this were a trend day, I most likely would not have taken this trade, because it's this isn't a trend day kind of trade. You have to understand that on range days, the trades that you can take are going to be different, and on trend days, the trades that you can take are going to be different, because the context for everything changes. So a setup that you see that'll usually work on a range day, you can try that on a trend day, and most likely I'm not going to say most likely it's not going to work, but there's reasons why certain setups work on some days and then they fail on other days, and it all has to do with the context. So I wouldn't recommend trying this trade on a trend day, but on a range day, this is the kind of thing that you want to look for, and it'll be a good setup. But that's just one more thing that I kind of wanted to point out, just to be clear about that, is that context changes, and range day setups and trend day setups are going to vary. So just make sure that you're aware of what kind of day it is, and don't go looking for this trade when you're in a heavy downtrend. And basically don't try and pick tops on strong uptrend days, and don't try and pick bottoms on strong downtrend days, no matter how far away from the EMA you are, because there's no guarantee that you're going to come back to it, and you can get burned. So just understand the context of what it is that's going on, and usually you'll end up a whole lot better. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say, but let's go back to pause, and hopefully we can get this runner, man. We've come 1 tick away from it. It's just that EMA was putting up quite a fight, but we managed to close above it on this bar, and our short-term uptrend is holding right now, so we'll see. But back to pause. Alright, so we just got that runner portion, thankfully. I was in the queue for so long that as soon as it touched it, I got filled. I didn't have to trade through that, but yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. Just wanted to demonstrate a failed break lower on a range day, and just a failed break. You had a break of your short-term trend line coming down, 2 measured legs down to a new low, failed break beneath these overnight lows, and then I kind of had a double tap, 1 tick break beneath this previous higher low. So I'm treating this as a higher low, and then we went out the bottom and the top all in the same bar. We were pretty decent ways away from the EMA, so I like that one for a long, and that's it. So I overslept today. I don't recommend doing that, but fortunately I was able to come in and still get it done. I still hit my goal, so I shorted this one right here, then I got long right there. 2 nice trades back to back relatively quickly. Let's check the times on those. This was at 13:10, so that's like 1:10, and then this one is 13:31, so that's like 20 minutes of each other, which is kind of rare, but it worked out nicely. And then in situations like this, usually you can catch a critical low, and as you can see, the runner for this one still would be going, and we may not come back and touch that entry all day. So if anyone entered on this, good luck to you. Hopefully you make some money off that. But that's it for me. I'll see you guys maybe again this week. No guarantees on that, but if not this week, then definitely next week. Take care, and this is JR. I'll see you next time.